Chad Brendel, BearcatJournal.com, on camera right now here with Dave Simone. Dave, family day, family scrimmage here at Camp Higher Ground. I would say moving day, but there's not a whole lot of movement in terms of this roster right now. What were your takeaways here from, you charted the plays, what were your takeaways from the scrimmage?
It was a pretty even scrimmage. Offense made some big plays. Dez had a couple really good throws, but also had a couple of interceptions returned for touchdowns by Hicks and Wright on the last play of the scrimmage. But, I mean, you're out there a bunch and you're familiar with each other. But he connected with Josiah a lot, and that's what I think we're going to see quite a bit this season, especially early in the scrimmage. 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10, it was like clockwork, first down every time. So he probably had 5 or 6 completions just to Duara in the scrimmage. But
we saw that a lot last year too, though, when they got kind of behind the sticks a little bit, when it got into 3rd and not super long, but 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, that connection between those two. It was big then, and you would expect it going forward to continue to do so.
For sure. I mean, it's an easier route to hit. The tight end's closer to the quarterback more times than not, but they did a good job spreading the ball around. Wyatt Fisher had a couple more big plays.
The Wyatt Fisher guy.
Josh Wiley had some nice plays down the field. Mike Warren looks like a different dude. I mean, I know we've talked about it in the reports and stuff, but less carries, less tread on the tires in camp, a few pounds lost, and he's getting through the line and still.
Doug's had a good day too.
Doug's had a good day. He put Hicks in the ground one time, but
smoked him.
Yeah, no. All in all, I think it was a pretty good scrimmage. Malik Van a couple sacks.
I thought Hicks had a really good scrimmage.
Hicks did, outside of his interception return. But yeah, I mean, guys were kind of making plays all over the place. There was no time where you're like, man, the offense is dominating, this is too easy, or the defense is dominating, the offense can't get a pass off or anything like that. So it's what you like to see. I mean, when you play against yourself, you want both sides to show something good, and they both did that.
How did Mamba Island stack up?
Well, I don't know, because no one threw the ball at him. I think they threw it at him one time. It was completed for 2 yards.
I think there was one other that was an incompletion.
Yeah.
So 1 for 2 for 2 yards against Kobe.
I have to admit I wasn't paying much attention to him because I figured there was no reason to.
The beauty of it, though, I continue, I've talked about this a couple times. Cam Jeffries is back. He's out of the red protected jersey. He's back in a black jersey, live action. But Tajh Boyd,
that's
surprisingly.
The thing, like with college, it's so big to find that third corner because a lot of teams have 2 that they're comfortable with. But with the spreads and injuries, you're really sometimes worried, like if one of our guys goes down, is someone just going to pick on the new player all the time? And I think there's a comfort level growing with Tajh that he can get in there and not be out of place, and the offensive coordinator for the other team isn't going to be yelling 15's in, throw at him. So, I mean, that's just such a big deal, especially with Arquan being down for a little while, to have someone step up who we honestly probably weren't expecting to move into that as prominent of a role. I mean, step up, but not be like a pseudo-starter.
I think it's what I've talked about with Tajh. He took that opportunity in the spring because all those guys were hurt.
Right.
He basically became the #1 corner in the spring because he was the best guy left. And he took all those opportunities, cashed those chips in, and got better. And didn't just, kind of take it, just float through it. He took it as a challenge, and he went from, he was basically the last corner, on the last scholarship corner on the roster last year. Now he's the 3rd guy. And at times he's been running with the ones, running on the opposite side of Kobe.
I think just in general with the corners, thing I noticed
you were big on Justin Harris and Sauce as well.
They like to hit. Justin Harris, Ahmad Gardner, Alden Knight moving over from wide receiver to corner. Those guys aren't afraid to stick their nose in there and make a play on the ball. So that was nice to see today, because you just don't get to see it as much in practice, and you're out here for almost 3 weeks. They're not going to let them just beat on each other. So.
It was interesting to me. Darian Beavers and Jarrell White are kind of 1A, 1B at the sniper. Beavers probably moved ahead of him as we've come down towards the end of camp. But then when the second unit would come in, they were in together in the nickel. So there was a nickel corner on the field, and then you had Beavers and Jarrell on the field at the same time. That was fascinating to me.
It's position versatility. It's what we've been harping on with the way they've been able to recruit and get different different players out there, different lineups, different. I mean, we talked about it. Kind of. We're not going to get into detail, but the 4 tight end stuff. I mean, there aren't defenses that can cover that. Like they don't know what to do when all of a sudden there's 2 6'7" guys out wide and a couple 6'3", 6'4" tight ends in the slot,
line, ready to block.
You don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So it's just about how you can match up, and you're more and more in college. You're just matching player against player, and you're trying to exploit the weakness. So they're gonna put those 4 tight ends out there and find the guy that's not comfortable covering and go at that. And the same thing on defense. You're trying to get more speed, or you're trying to get more power, depending on the team you're going up against, and that's just what you're doing with like putting Beavers and White out there at the same time.
What'd you think of right tackle?
The good thing is I didn't really notice it.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't. Now you know the ones in the 1As and 1Bs probably they ran like 100 plays, so I'm sure there were snaps in there where the guys got beat.
Right, whatever.
But it wasn't like a turnstile. I wasn't like, oh my God, this guy has no shot. He's totally out of the competition. I think it's still a Metz McConnell.
I think it's Metz and McConnell
battle, and I'm not sure where they're going to go, because today I didn't watch it specifically every play, but there weren't any times where I was really like,
oh God, he got
this guy
killed.
is way ahead. Like I can't see him winning the job. So I mean that's a good thing if you're not paying attention. I think there were a couple false starts. I think on Metz, at least one early.
Yeah.
But that's what you try to iron out in practice. That's not going to decide a position battle.
I think Metz, his one downfall is he gets a little jumpy in the pass game because he's trying
he gets so
he's trying not to let somebody get past him. Yeah.
And he's trying to stay low because he's so tall, and you don't want to get vertical and start leaning back, because then you'll just get shoved off your spot. So it's definitely still going to be a work in progress.
It's going to be interesting. Monday is going to be very telling, I think, in the right tackle battle.
Well, Monday is when you probably start legitimately working UCLA.
Right.
So you kind of work those reps differently than you have been now.
Anything else? Any other takeaways?
I don't think so. I mean, I was pretty impressed all the way around. So I'm looking forward to getting the Nippert on next Thursday night and seeing what we can do.
12 days away. What?
We'll have a podcast this week, kind of doing the full season preview, and then next week we'll jump into the more UCLA specific stuff. So.
Yeah, probably Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on what your little ones.
Yeah. He can be our guest analyst.
He can be our guest analyst. We'll get something up this week for sure, and then maybe very early next week as we head towards Thursday night with Pat McAfee and the crew.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of coverage from today.
Yeah.
Up on the board tonight, tomorrow sometime, but depends on how quick we eat our barbecue.
Yeah. Alex is going to wrap it up. Thanks to Brent Young. He's running the camera back there behind you. Dave Simone, Chad Brendel, Brandon Sosna watching guard, making sure no vehicles run over us or anything. Thanks, Brandon. I'm Chad Brendel, BearcatJournal.com.